Last week's video featured the Remington Nylon 66 22 rifle, which you see here. I started thinking about that and came up with the idea of making today's video about Homestead guns. Now you see a lot of discussion online and elsewhere about survival guns, but I've noticed that most of the time when people start discussing that, they're thinking about some Walking Dead scenario of daily firefights, and I don't subscribe to that. Of course, you know, there are defensive firearms, and some people seem to think that that's the only thing that firearms are good for, is defense. Of course, there is a place for defensive firearms, but in my experience, you're going to need to eat far more often than you're going to need to defend yourself with a gun. Just my experience. You may live somewhere else, but I live on a homestead of sorts, and homestead guns are very commonly used around here. I may need it to hunt. I may need it to dispatch a hog or something that I've raised for meat. I may need it to kill varmints of whatever variety. And so this is a trio of good basic homestead guns. And the first one is, in my opinion, you need a good handgun that is usable for small game at close range, but especially for dispatching some sort of varmint at close range. Or, you know, maybe a coyote tries to get into your chickens or something, and you happen to walk out the door just as this is happening, or you hear a commotion and have to run out, and you don't take the time to grab a long gun on the way out. Well, if you're packing something like this, that will do the job. And this is an H&R, actually New England Firearms, but that's just one of the names that H&R used. And this is an R70, what is it? No, R92. I've got an R73, which is the same gun in .32 Magnum, but this is an R92, and I've featured this one before. And of course it's loaded, but it's a 9-shot 22 long rifle, and it's not very accurate, you know, for long range shooting or whatnot. I would not take this, I don't think, for squirrel hunting, but it works really well for packing around on my side for targets of opportunity. And it holds 9 shots, so that's a plus. A lot of times in the summer, I'll have the first 2 chambers up will have shot shells in it, 22 long rifle shot shells. Okay, the next one, which we've already covered last week, as I mentioned, is the Nylon 66, but it doesn't have to be a Nylon 66. Just whatever inexpensive 22 rifle that works well. It can be a Marlin Glenfield 60. It can be a Ruger 1022. It can be a bolt action 22. But of course, this can be called into play for dispatching varmints as well, but this will also be called into play very often for squirrel hunting and also rabbit hunting and all the other small game that you would hunt with a 22 rifle. You know, you need something accurate and reliable. Every homestead needs a 22 rifle. Okay, the third one is another H&R that's not actually branded H&R. This one is actually one of the latest ones before H&R unfortunately closed their doors, and it's branded as a Marlin. At least the frame is. The barrel's not. The barrel is an H&R. But this barrel came from another gun, and this is my 18.5-inch barrel. I also have a standard length 28-inch barrel that is modified choke. But this works well for around the homestead, as does the modified choke. You know, I'll just choose whichever one I need. But with this, you know, I could load it with slugs for deer, or with the other barrel just as well. Load it with slugs or buckshot for deer or for hogs. Load it with bird shot for or number 6 shot or whatever for rabbits, squirrels, quail, or what have you. So there you go. 3 basic firearms for the homestead. If you're on a budget and can only afford 3 affordable guns for your homestead, plus, you know, perhaps your defensive gun, but these 3 will get the job done.